Welcome back. The panelists here, NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander, also co-anchor of Weekend Today, Amna Nawaz, the co-anchor for PBS NewsHour, New York Times columnist Tom Friedman, and Danielle Pletka, the senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. I have a really good group here to talk China and Ukraine. Tom, let me start with you. This feels like we are at a moment we've never been with China, are we?
I think so, Chuck, because if you go back to the start of the war, President Biden spoke with President Xi, and Jake Sullivan spoke with his Chinese counterparts. They made one major point. You will not intervene militarily in this war on Russia's side. And if you do, it will affect your two largest export markets, the European Union and the United States of America. The fact that a year later, China is considering that, according to the administration, I find harrowing. Because that really...
Do you find it believable? Why would China do this?
Well, it's interesting. I think China, first of all, they would like the war prolonged because it keeps us tied down, and we're burning through all our weaponry and all our military stocks. I think also they like a weak Russia that's forced to be economically dependent on them, but they don't want a collapsed Russia. That's a very bad signal for Taiwan, that if the West could take Russia down. So I think the Chinese might be concerned about that. But I think you cannot exaggerate how important it would be if China did that. Then this becomes a true world war. It affects every global market.
Right.
And we're in a completely new world.
What would be our consequence to them? He wouldn't say what the consequences are. Dana, what should they be if China intervenes?
We still have an extraordinarily robust trading relationship with China. They are unbelievably dependent on exports, both to the United States and to the European Union. So they would be testing our resolve. Right now, we limit certain things that are coming from China. We are trying very casually to decouple our economy from the Chinese economy, but we haven't done it in any effective way. So they would be testing our willingness to take a lot of pain in order to punish them. It's a very weird call.
I'm trying to figure out where we are here, Peter, because you had this interview with the president after he did this speech that was trying to tone things down. And in some ways, it matched the rhetoric we heard from, I want to play something from Avril Haines. I referenced it in the interview, but I'm going to play this comment from Avril Haines and how she talked about the balloon incident late last week at an interview in Columbia University. Take a listen.
How should we think about this? If you can, whatever you can say about the balloon, please.
I know, it's so crazy. It's really like an episode of Veep, you know, on some level. Like, I'm just like...
So here's our director of national intelligence, sort of almost like dismissive of how things went. The president's trying to ratchet things out, and then all of a sudden, 48 hours later, we're on the brink of a world war.
Well, that's what's most striking to me. The conversation I had with the president on Thursday, he said, I think the last thing she wants is to fundamentally rip up the relationship with the United States and with me. He was saying that these conversations need to continue. Direct communication is critical. And then you hear what appears to be a very different strategy from Antony Blinken speaking to you just moments ago, where he effectively, is dialing things up, it appears. That it would appear that the relationship is escalating. And the point that he wouldn't get to, that you try to pin him down on, is what is that new evidence that China is trying to provide lethal aid to Russia right now? Notable that he won't say it, because you remember when this war began in Ukraine, the U.S., Antony Blinken was very quick to say that there was now declassified information showing that Russia was going to invade. They were right on. So why not call them out with the evidence as it exists here? No one could identify what that evidence is. They just said to me, for China, nothing is off the table, is their view.
Amna, it does feel like there is a bit of, do they want to dial things down or do they or not?
I mean, to Peter's point, I want to see what that intelligence is. I want to know what the evidence is to back up those claims, because Secretary Blinken was not the only one to make that assessment. We had Vice President Harris in her speech at Munich mimicking that same language, warning China not to provide that lethal aid. So I'm curious what's driving that more overt public stance right now. But we know that the U.S. officials have been concerned about ongoing tacit and some tactical support China's been providing to Russia since the beginning of the war. To Tom's point, they made that warning early and very clear and publicly. A lot of that has been economic until now. We know in the last year, China's economic trade with Russia has only deepened. And that means imports have increased, some 40% from Russia, exports over some 10%. Even though they imported less crude oil overall, China, last year, they imported more from Russia to the tune of some $60 billion. I mean, that undermines the Western effort as well to mitigate their oil revenues and also further fuels the war in Ukraine.
Let me shift the conversation to the larger question, Tom, which is our domestic politics actually going to ratchet up tensions a little bit here with China? Look, you've been chronicling the rise of China, arguably, for all of us to watch for 30 years in some ways. Did we get it wrong?
Did we get the
entire idea of what we were trying to do with China, thinking economic security for China will bring security to the globe?
I think that chapter is not finally written, Chuck. What we've seen in China since 1979 to today is originally China came out and said, we're going to open ourselves to the world, we're going to engage with the world, and we're not going to be a military threat to the world. And that kind of worked for them. They brought 800 million people out of poverty faster than any time in world history, and we had no great power war during that period. That starts to change. 2006, 2010, first under Hu and then under Xi. Suddenly you get a much more aggressive China in the South Asian Sea. You get a China that's much more difficult at home, takes over Hong Kong, does these things. And I would say to them, how's that working for you? You grew at 3% last year, like half your, you've triggered now a global ban, basically, on semiconductors, which are the oil of the 21st century. China's basically saying, oh, we'll deal with that. We'll push back our own. Really, I say, that's like telling me the Chinese national basketball team is going to play the global superstars in basketball on semiconductors forever.
Yeah.
So I really wonder where they're going with this.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.